Hi everyone, alright, it's just a random video. It's about, well I'll go into it. Obviously, you've seen the previous video, we've taken mum out back where she is in Stevenage. And throughout my life so far, throughout my travels and all that and being about, obviously you collect things, don't you, throughout life. And I've always been a bit of a hoarder. Now rather than put them in storage, rather than, you know, put them wherever, I've always managed to keep them at my mum and dad's house, which was like, they've got a spare room, 3-bedroom house, so there was always a spare room. There was a spare room when I was growing up. My sisters were older, so it was just me, most of the part of me growing up. So there was always that spare room in the house. So I accumulated lots and lots of stuff. Now, some of it's rubbish, obviously. I'm slowly going through a lot of it now when I'm back here. Just gives me a bit of time, backwards and forwards, just sort stuff out. Because obviously some of this is value. A bit gutted though, because I've looked for some stuff I thought I had, but I can't find it. Some old LPs, some old vinyls. Can't find them. I really don't know what's happened to them now, because I've sworn a few years ago I had them, but like I say, I've moved about a bit, so they've got lost somewhere, and I can't for the life of me remember what I've done. There was a couple of good LPs I thought were around. They're not here, unless I'm looking somewhere else. But from what I can see, obviously this is the spare room, guys. It's all sorts going on in there. But I just thought I'd show you some vinyl that I've just gone through. I think in the previous video, when there was that rave that was going on, that all-night rave, and we were woken up sort of early hours in the morning with a going off, and I was briefly going into like music and how I got into that kind of music. You know, not so much the rave scene, but more the 70s club. I keep calling it, was it more the 70s sort of club scene in the States, that also came over here, obviously, and how that manifested into club music. What become club music in the 80s, branched off into hip hop. You got funk, jazz. So obviously these forms of music were always around, but it was disco that took off, went into the 80s. Obviously you had the club music, like the Street Sounds collection. Then you had the branching off with electro, which was hip hop. Then obviously later on down the line, sort of the mid-late 80s, obviously you're getting more into what progressively was house music. Then that branched off into Chicago. Anyway, enough of the history. So yeah, I'm just going to show you just a few things that I've managed to just get through. Now when I say, I'll start off with the hip hop. This is my teen era. Obviously you guys remember that. This is the US import. I haven't looked at any of these, but I don't really want to get rid of it. You know what I mean? This is the hip hop era. These were more late 80s. Let's have a look. Some of these. And then you obviously remember a group called Sonic. This is an import as well. This is one of their first LPs. They had a mainstream hit called All That Jazz, but this was their first album. This was never released in the UK. This is obviously worth some money. First album, I'll say US import, Sonic. Yeah, All That Jazz. That was the mainstream hit they had. Oh, here we go. What we got here? We got House Sound Chicago. That was #1 in about 86. That brought the house sound into the mainstream, and yeah, obviously acid house progressed from that. Acid house, then you went into the rave scene of the late 80s into the early 90s. That's what started it all, coming from there. Some old 12 inches here. The Housemaster Boys. These are 12 inches. Rude Boys. House Nation. A few of them. Oh god, what's this? Random Fatback Band. I found lovely. Everyone's heard of that, haven't they? A lot of Public Enemy at that time. That one. I did have their first album, but that's another thing. I can't seem to find that here. Def Jam was a big label. Beastie Boys, Run DMC. Was it Run? Yeah, Run. No, Beastie Boys. Public Enemy were off of that. LL Cool J. Original Concept. A lot of other obviously what became well known, but this was more of a underground label. Rick Rubin, underground label at the time. Def Jam, but he obviously went mainstream after the success of Beastie Boys collaboration with Run DMC and all that. So yeah, check that out. Some good early stuff with these. If you you know, interested. Again, this is more 80s stuff. This is a 70s. This is what I was saying. This is one of my early collections, House Sound of Chicago, Volume 2. So this is all the old house music that came through. This wasn't readily available in the UK. This came through about 86. So this was more of a very underground scene that was going on up until then, with Jack Your Body, when that was given a mainstream release. Obviously done well in the charts. But this music was going on for quite some time, sort of mid 80s. I've got my glasses on. There's a brief description here. These are the guys. They're all sort of DJs and everything at the time. You probably haven't heard of a lot of these because a lot of these didn't break. Obviously, didn't break the mainstream. It arrived in Britain. Yeah, mid 80s. Love Can't Turn Around, Farley Jack Master Funk. That came out in 86. Jack the Groove, Steve Seal Curly, Jack Your Body. And yeah, that obviously all came through at the same time. Like I say, there's a lot of spill there, but the history is it just got more progressively popular. But all started off with a house sound. Funny enough, is what I'm saying. If it went through this house music from that era, then you wouldn't have dance music that you have now. It all goes off. It all goes back to like the like from the 70s onwards. You had the late, I suppose, you know, soul music from the 60s. Then it went into the disco sound, the urban, the street funk sound that you had as well, which was separate from disco club music. You know, I don't like the term disco. It's a bit mainstream. You know, it was good. There was some, like I say, there was some good underground stuff at that time. Disco sort of demeans it a bit. But Boogie Down Productions, again, these were big guys. Very anti-establishment. Obviously, this Malcolm X stance there. This was Just Ice. Yeah, Boogie Down Productions, Just Ice. There, he went off to. He was with a DJ called DJ Scott La Rock. He died, and this guy took over and formed Boogie Down Productions. Again, this is all mid to late 80s. I'm just going for a snippet here, guys. Deep House. This is an import. Deep House, DJ International were a house scene, a house label. Big underground stuff going on there with these. Joe Smooth, I've got an album of these somewhere here. But yeah, if you're interested in this, you know, just look it all up. There was commercial stuff. Joe Smooth, here is Promised Land, another import. So these two are imports. A lot of imports going on here. These weren't available in the UK, so this is all what they've become known as Deep House, which went into garage, where you get your likes as it progressed on. You got the likes of Alison Limerick with Love Lives and all that. You had that going into that era. But commercial, so I'm going into the commercial that might sound familiar to the mainstream. Obviously, there was a lot of underground stuff. I've got Turntable Orchestra here, somewhere the 12-inch of that. You're going to miss me when I'm gone. Like I say, check that out. Great piano intro. Right, remember, there you go, DJ. I've got some commercial stuff. I was more into the undergrounds, but I think that must have been a friend of mine I've borrowed. The reason I got this, by the way, that's, recognise him, that's Will Smith. But he started off as the DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Great DJ, this guy. And Magnificent Jazzy Jeff is like a spin, remixing, scratching. For its times, good. Not a lot of DJs can do that now. So, garage tracks, again, more commercial, sort of mainstream collections going on there. Schoolie D, another sort of mid 80s, late 80s hip hop artist. Schoolie D. Adonis, No Way Back, House Sound of Chicago. This goes mid to late 80s as well. I'm not sure if Adonis got made. I think it did get a mainstream release, but this was like the big thing, the label there going on. What's this one? SOS Band on there. It's an import. SOS Band were well known. There's the original. This was their commercial release. That's the Sonics. This had an official UK release. Dig the shell suits, guys. This is all big late 80s, early 90s fashion. I had one. what was it called? It was Talking All That Jazz. That was the commercial hit they had. That brought these guys into the mainstream. Then as it progressed, you had the house sound, what they called the house sound of London. As it got more over here, the London scene kicked off, which affected a lot of, you know, being Stevenage, London's fast train 20 minutes down from here to King's Cross. So a lot of that scene, a lot of my friends who were all around here, you could get down there. This was all big stuff here. In fact, thinking back, yeah, it was more of a Stevenage and the surrounding sort of towns around here. They were more, when I go back to the people, the majority of people liked sort of more club, soul, hip hop, you know, black dance music, black music, if you want to call it that. You know, it's they were into more that scene. There wasn't so many people into, I can't remember that many people into sort of indie or heavy metal, or between heavy metal then heavy rock. It was more of a, around here, it was more of a dance club scene, and you can interpret that into hip hop, club dance, sort of say street sounds and all that sort of thing. Here's an old one as well. This is another import, Just Ice, back to the old school. This is old. These are what I don't want to part with. You might have heard of Mantronics. There's a group called Mantronics. This is 86, so this is when he first come out. This album's 86, so there's, you know, these guys were on the scene for a long time before they became commercial in the 90s. So that's just Ice there. And DMX, it's an interesting album. The Boogie Down Productions one I showed you previous, this is KRS-One, and this guy here, DJ Scott the Rock, he died. So, and you probably all heard of Eric B and Rakim, these guys. So you got soul, again, late 80s. I have got other stuff, but this is just Rolls Royce had a bit of a comeback in the 80s. Car Wash, obviously the big, you obviously all heard Car Wash, big club hit in the 70s. These guys had a comeback, but not a mainstream comeback like you'd hear now. These guys were given a very low level comeback, but they were very, very big. Obviously a different singer, different lead singer. What's her name, the lead singer? Because it was Gwen Dickey, the original, wasn't it? Ricky Benson, that's the one that took over. These are still doing the rounds, but obviously this was another one, Magic Touch. It's a big street wave album. Street Wave was another big club label in the 80s. Street Wave, a lot of stuff on there. So look all them out. Blue Note, more of a jazz album. This again import. I was getting a lot of imports. This is all jazz artists and everything going on there, as you can see. Donald Byrd, Roy Ayers, bit of a connoisseur's collection, that one. Dominoes Live and everything. If you looked up Dominoes, that's Ronnie. No, you got Ronnie Laws, Carl McRae, Donald Byrd, Dominoes. You know, check that out. Soul funk, jazz kind of here. Well, a diva of Respect. That was about 89. It come out. The disco scene stuff. Yeah, it's funny enough. More my collections on the vinyl side of that era. Obviously, when I was growing up, sort of 70s, I didn't get my first vinyl probably until early 80s. So that was when so a lot of the music from that era, which I love, I think I never got the original sort of albums for, so I had to get them from charity shops and the old like HMVs or album shops or independent shops that had them at that time. I was buying second hand, but I can't seem to find a lot of that stuff around. But there was a big underground disco scene going on. A lot of the stuff I have is on CDs now. I wouldn't part with my CDs. I like CDs. I like the music. I like a CD. I like opening it up. I like the booklet. It feels more personal. It feels like you're holding something. It just feels better, and I think the sound's better as well. Not so good as a vinyl, but CD is far better than any digital MP3 and all that kind of. It do, but I think if you've got a good system and you've got a good CD system and a good vinyl system, I don't think you can beat it. I don't think you can beat that sound. So a lot of them, like I say, I've got loads of CDs here, and I've been looking at some of them, so they're worth money as well. But the vinyl side of things, this is what this one going for. I've also got a lot of good soundtracks as well. I'll quickly show you some soundtrack stuff that I've got. Let's take through the classics at first. These are all imports, by the way. Dad just get me these. 1977 original pressing. Self-explanatory that, I don't need to go into that. Original pressings, I don't know how much that's worth. This is an import. This one, there was a single LP released over in the UK. This is the double LP American import. This is, again, it opens up like this. You can see, this is geek territory, I know, but remember, growing up in the 70s, as well as like football and everything, this was massive Star Wars. All your TV shows. This is lovely. This is what I mean by vinyl. I know CDs are a smaller version of this, but you don't get this now. You look at it. It's the love bringing, you know. Is it a generation thing? I don't know. I'll have to look, see how much these are worth. Look at this. You know, it's, you just don't get things like this anymore. Like I say, original pressing. This is 1980. Star Wars come out in 77, and there's all the what each track means and everything. What's going on behind each tune. There's the back. Let's say a double album. There you go. The single album was released here, but I got the double. I was very lucky with my dad. I used to help my dad go carpet fitting. Used to be a carpet fitter, and I used to go and help him carpet fit. I used to collect all the scraps. Believe it or not, about 5 or 6. I go to him on Saturday morning, and I had a bit of pocket money, and I'd say, "Oh, Dad, you know, can you? I really want that." And he'd go, "Right, okay." So I'd get the soundtrack album, and he obviously, I don't know, I wouldn't have enough. He'd put the rest to it, but good skills. Return of the Jedi, 83. That was a single one. There was never a double album released to that, which I was always disappointed about. I was waiting for a double album to be released. Obviously, this is the originals. This isn't like what came later with the special editions. This was all original. There's you're most familiar with Star Wars. There's a scene at Jabba's palace with Return of the Jedi, and there's an original song called Lapti Neck. That's got the original Lapti Neck on it, not the 1997 edition where the music changed and everything. Razor Lost Ark, again, you know, original pressing, import again. There was a shop here in Stevenage called FL Moores, and there was one in Hitchin as well. And they were real good independent record stores, and they would get the imports in. So you'd get this one issue, and I was, like I say, very lucky. There weren't many. My mates used to love coming around and seeing all the, you know, but a lot of them weren't really. But I was always into it. Soundtracks. Loved it. I love soundtrack music. You know what I mean? I just loved it. I love films. I loved, you know. So, but this again, this is growing up. This isn't what I got into in my teenage era. Star Trek 2, Rafa Khan. That one again. This is an import, not the original one. Star Trek 3, Search for Space. It's got a lovely gatefold. This one. So I'm going into Trekkie territory here. You know what I mean? Look at that. Yeah, that's a blast from the past. Who remembers Littlewoods? Littlewoods Record Shop. They are. Remember them? Littlewoods was for those a lot not familiar with it. Littlewoods was a clothes shop in the UK. It was clothes. They even had a canteen, one in Stevenage. What's that? Yeah, it was mostly clothes, wasn't it? Littlewoods, a few other little accessories, but they also done records. And there was a big one, but that's the cover. It's the cover there. I don't know where that's come from. Close Encounters. This is all John Williams. This isn't a double album, but it does open up. Not going to open up. It's a big big exposure of the spaceship, obviously, that lands at the end. But yeah, that one there. Not the Vangelis soundtrack, the new American Orchestra. That's all there was at the time with Blade Runner. There wasn't a Vangelis soundtrack. That didn't get released until way later, a couple of decades later. It just wasn't available. So all you had was this, which wasn't actually, it was like a spin-off of the music. But this was good. This is what we had. So on there. You'll know the music to that. I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to hum it, but you'll know it. What else have I got? Loads. I'm not going to, like I say, I'm not going to just going to show you the main ones. Have you seen this film? Rewatch this film, Flash Gordon. Give it a rewatch. I didn't realise at the time, being, how old have I been? It's come out in 1980, didn't it? I was what? Just turned 8. The innuendos and everything that went on with this. I think there was page 3, which was page 3 of the Sun newspaper, which was obviously where girls were exposing their bits on the page 3. There was the girls that were in this at the time. A lot of exotic models were in it. But innuendos for a kids' film, swearing in it, not obviously too bad, but there was swearing. But Dad used to love it. I can see why. I can see why at the time. Obviously went over my head, but everyone's heard of the Queen soundtrack. I love this film when it came out. But yeah, it's interesting, very campy now when you look back. But yeah, what happened to that guy? What happened to him? Where'd he go? Where did he go? Rocky 2. I haven't got Rocky 1, but Rocky 2. God, loads. Oh, the original motion picture one on there. I think that is all I'll bother you with. I don't want to bother you with much more. Oh, Superman, original soundtrack. Superman, Christopher Reeve, John Williams score. When I look back, this guy was brilliant, wasn't he? When you look back at Christopher Reeve, what a cast. Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, Christopher Reeve, Ned Beatty, Jackie Cooper, Glenn Ford, Trevor Howard, Margot Kidder, Terence Stamp, who's recently died, General Zod, brilliant. Went on to Superman 2, which I've got here somewhere, but this is the, again, original. This is an import as well. You've got all these in here. I love this. So yeah, I'm going more into my soundtrack, so I am with the original dance stuff. So anyway, like I said, that's a brief intro into me, the vinyl side of things. There is more, there's loads. CDs, I've got loads of CDs. I remember opening the CD, showing you a CD and saying, oh look, this was when, it's not the same, is it, as a vinyl? You don't look as good, like getting the CD out, you know, you can't beat. I love vinyl, and if I had the space in the room, you know, I think we'd all, it just looks good, doesn't it? It looks good, you know, you got your vinyl deck. Obviously you have to have a big house, you know, you have to have room for this. Your vinyl deck, all your albums all on a, you know, all up and everything. It look really good. I'm just looking here. Yeah, my old dad, he got me this. I think this was my first LP. And I think this is what got me into, this is actually what got me into being a 5. I was a 5. It didn't come out straight. Anyway, that. War of the Worlds. Jeff Wayne's musical version of the War of the Worlds. This is still going in the London shows. They've made a show of it now. It's had various well-known names playing parts, doing very well. This is a stage show. The effects look amazing. I've never seen it, but the effects look amazing. But back in '78, Jeff Wayne done a musical version of this. Richard Burton does the narrative. You've got Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy playing part of a priest. There's some other great voiceovers going on in there. But this album, this is what got me into my soundtracks, I suppose, at that time. But yeah, War of the Worlds comes with a lovely booklet. Again, you know, when I look back, I've looked after this booklet and everything. You've probably all seen these artworks. That's when the cylinder lands. David Essex is in it. He's the artilleryman. Some great artwork in here. It's set in Victorian times. H.G. Wells wrote in Victorian times. You'll see that's the battleship Thunderchild. These are the tripods, Martian tripods that attack. We all know what happens at the end to them. That's come apart there. The age of it's bound to, isn't it? So yeah, it was War of the Worlds that really got me into that. So that's something else I've dug out. So just being part of your life. I won't part with this. I won't want to part with it. So yeah, just want to do a quick video and just show you what side of music that I do have. I was hoping to, because someone commented on me, like I say, someone commented on that rave video that I went and done. I'd like to know about your 70s, like the underground dance sound of the 70s and the 80s. I've just briefly gone into it. A lot of that stuff I've now got on CD, which is all over there, but it's not. It wasn't stuff that was mainstream. Obviously, it's got that disco sound, but it's not your Earth, Wind and Fire. It's not your Bee Gees. It's not your Chic. It's not that kind. Which has got, you say Chic, people's automatically think, oh, disco sound, you know, and all that. And it's not Odyssey. It's not, which is of that era, but there was a lot of other groups, like I said, like Slave, like Crown Arts Affair, BT Express, that didn't get the commercial success of the others, but made just as not, if not better music, but were bigger in the States than here, with the communities there. So that's my brief history. And like I've said to you before, that progressed into club music into the 80s, where you had the early street sounds. These were all labels, and they were like the underground dance scene. That went on to the house scene, Chicago scene, and then progressed into acid house. Then you went into acid house, and then you're going into the 90s, and then you're going into the 90s with the scene progressing. It got into techno. House branched off into all sorts of different styles. I kind of lost interest sort of late 90s with it all. It all seemed to go a bit, don't know. I prefer the, obviously, 70s, 80s. 90s dance music's good. And that covers all eras of that. But that's as far as I'll probably go with it. I wouldn't. Deep house probably nowadays is good. Listen to some underground deep house stuff. It's more soulful. It hasn't got that horrible modern tweak, that sound, but it just doesn't sound natural that you have with these new like trap and all that. If that's what you like, it's what you like. But for me, it's not my bag at all. But yeah, no, that's like I say, there was a few more here that I can't show you, but they're not here. They're around. I will show you back sometime where they are. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. So as I find more stuff, I'll do a few more videos of other stuff that I find. Obviously, there's other bits and pieces lying about. Obviously, with old vintage toys, I can make that up bloody age. With vintage toys that I've got, I'll go through them, but they're all scattered about. But for now, I'm sorting this vinyl out, and yeah, just wanted to give you a rough end. And I'm just replying to I think it was a guy, just replying to the guy that made a comment on one of my previous videos. So yeah, here it is. But if you are listening, guy, if you are listening, fella, check out this this Blue Note album. This is a sought after treasure. Some good jazz funk on there from the 70s, underground Blue Note label. Great album. Yeah, check that out. So that's it. Yeah, like I say, all right, it's bank holiday weekend, so I'm just back here at my mum's sorting some stuff out, and we're going back tomorrow. Obviously, mum's had a good week away, and yeah, so hope you're having a lovely bank holiday. Hope everything's going well. Hope you're really enjoying it. And that's it, guys. All right, take care. Please like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. It's free, don't cost any money. Just click subscribe, ping, it goes off, and it helps my channel, and it helps me get to what I'm hoping to get monetized eventually. Might take years, but for now, every click counts. So I'd really appreciate it if you can subscribe, please. All right, guys, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for taking the time out, listening and watching. I hope you found it interesting. Like I say, there's a lot of history going on. Take care, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday weekend, and see you later. Thank you. Bye bye.